I'm Linda Schofield. I'm a longtime board member from the Simsbury ABC program, which just celebrated its 40-year anniversary with a gala dinner. And most of this one-hour show is a recording of a few of our alumni who came back and attended the dinner and spoke to us at that dinner. But I wanted to give you a context so you'd understand their remarks better. So let me briefly tell you about the ABC program. ABC stands for A Better Chance. The idea of the program is to give disadvantaged kids a better chance in life by giving them a better academic grounding. So it is an academic program for young men of color who all come from disadvantaged school systems, mostly inner city school systems. They have, however, good personal academic track records. These are smart kids who've worked hard but come from a school system that isn't going to set them up well in life. It's a very competitive process for them to be selected for the program. They apply both on paper and come for interviews. And once accepted, then they live at the ABC house for the 4 years of high school, and they attend Simsbury High, going home just on school vacations. At the ABC house, we offer a home-like environment. We have a couple who serves as the resident directors, and they live there, so they act as house parents. And we also have a live-in tutor, a resident tutor. We have very strict rules, as the guys would be the first to tell you. We keep very strict rules at the house. There are 3 hours of daily mandatory study hours on all school nights. And the boys have to maintain good grades and good behavior in order to stay. In addition, at the program, we try to offer cultural enrichment programs to wrap around their academic experience. So we take them to concerts and theater and music and the like. We also offer social skill development programming, for example, around leadership development, classes on etiquette, on team building, some counseling to help the guys learn how to work with each other. And we try to do some fun things with them as well. We take them out for hikes, paintball, movies, things like that. A really important component of our program, which you'll hear the alumni refer to a lot, is the host families. Each of our guys is linked with a local family in Simsbury. So even though they live at the ABC house, they'll go spend a weekend a month with that family and have dinner with them once or twice a month as well. Each family that they're linked with has a son their age who helps them gain sort of social entree into school when they first arrive here in Simsbury, not knowing anybody. It's important to note that the program is supported entirely by donations from local Simsbury residents and from local Simsbury businesses. We don't have any government money supporting us at all. We're very proud of our graduates' accomplishments, and honestly, their stories, which you'll hear in the coming footage, their stories really inspire us to keep volunteering our time for this great program, because our graduates go on to be great successes in life, and as I said, we're very proud of them. We knew there were many people who couldn't come to the dinner who wanted to, and we thought you might enjoy hearing some of the alumni's stories. So we couldn't include them all, unfortunately, on the show because we ran out of videotape. But here are the highlights, and I hope you enjoy hearing from our guys and learning a little bit about the program and how successful our graduates are. Thanks.
7 months ago, I sent out an email to our graduates and told them about tonight's dinner, that ABC would be celebrating 40 years in existence. Suddenly, a flurry of emails began, starting with Marvin Kelly and Mark Lepovzik, remembering their flight from Pittsburgh, PA to Hartford, Connecticut on Allegheny Airlines at the age of 16, and the apprehension they felt about coming to this community. They were members of Simsbury's very first group of students in the ABC program. Interestingly, these two young men went to the same high school in Pittsburgh. They knew each other, but they weren't friends. Their emails were filled with memories, most of them being positive. Yet there was also quite a bit of humor between these two men. And they were members of our first graduating class, the class of 1975. I'm not finished introducing them yet, but I'd like Mark and Marvin to come up here so I can tell you a little more about them. Mark, Marvin. I know some of you can't see these too well, but they'll be over here and you can look at them. There's even a picture of an Allegheny Airlines plane as they're getting off on their first day in Connecticut. Now, this is Mark Lepovsik.
Good evening, everyone.
And this is Marvin Kelly.
Good evening.
Now, I'm sure most of you are wondering about Mark. Yes, he is Caucasian.
What am I doing here?
And he's also the only white graduate of our program in 40 years. Marvin, on the other hand, is not Caucasian.
Irish.
He's Irish, Marvin Kelly. And when I asked Marvin about speaking tonight, he said, I'd be honored. And you can introduce us as Ebony and Ivory. And then he said, he's Ebony. So, Mark and Marvin, I don't know who's going first or if they're doing it together.
The white guy.
The white guy.
Because Marvin always liked to get the last word in. You don't mind, do you?
Not at all. Go right ahead.
Welcome. Great. Yeah, it's here. I'm here. A long time coming. I did jot down some notes, and I thought it's relevant because I wanted to let you know how I ended up here in August of 1983. So good evening to all current ABC students, Simsbury High School faculty and staff members, Simsbury ABC host families, house parents, board of director members, both present and past, and to all my brethren out there, ABC graduates. And I must say, to the national director, welcome, sir. My beautiful wife and I, Claire. Claire, please stand up. We're extremely excited to be here to share this historic event. 40 years, yes, I did say 40 years of this distinctive ABC program here in Simsbury, Connecticut. This evening's celebration is about a dream or a goal that several Simsbury residents had close to 40 years ago. A goal that became a reality and has since become the norm in this town. To house and mentor a group of students who show academic potential and to change their environment in an attempt to help them achieve their own lofty goals. By exposing these students to high academic standards in a safe learning environment with strong role models, and to observe and to seek to understand the behaviors of successful professionals. Now, according to Covey, the managerial and leadership guru out there, once we seek to understand, then we can be understood. As one of the original 8 that flew into Hartford International Airport in August of 1973, I have to say I was definitely one of those who was seeking to understand a whole myriad of items at the age of 16. One that doesn't fully comprehend. Not saying that all of you may have the same questions about life and circumstances, but I certainly did. So since I have the floor now, I'd like to share to you my story on how I ended up here. I'm the 4th child of 5, 3 older brothers and 1 sister. I was born in Melbourne, Florida, the home of NASA in Cape Canaveral. My father actually was a rocket scientist with an honors degree in chemical engineering from the University of Pittsburgh in 1950, a distinguished World War II veteran bombardier navigator aboard B-25 Mitchell aircraft, flying out of the Aleutian Islands, conducting long-range bombing missions in Japan. At the age of 3 months, my family moved back to Pittsburgh. And at the age of 6, my father and mother divorced. I believe that was the year following the year after our family home burned to the ground from an exploding hot water heater in the wintertime. A local plumber was trying to thaw the frozen pipes, and all I recall was my mother trying to go back in to grab any possessions she could, and the firemen were holding her back. My father was across the street at the local tavern bar, drinking away the event. Over the next 10 years, I moved between my mother, father, his mother, my grandmother, and between two different sets of first cousins who took care of me and my younger sister because my parents could barely take care of themselves. I think I went to 7 different schools in the 10-year period. During my sophomore year of high school at Gladstone High School in Hazelwood, Pennsylvania, a small steel mill town just about 6-7 miles from downtown Pittsburgh that used to have smokestacks that brightened the nighttime skies with their continual smoke releases and internal flames. My high school guidance counselor, Mrs. Theo Young, asked if I would be interested in a program that would increase my chances to go to college. Little did I know how Mrs. Young's question and my answer would change the path and the course of my life. Just by her being a little bit interested in me, definitely caring about my future, and having the information on the National ABC program. But before I go on, I need to flash back about 4 years. From my sophomore year, my brother Eric was attending the same high school, but dropped out of school after not being challenged, or for whatever reasons, but had an IQ of 168. One of the highest IQs the city of Pittsburgh had ever tested. And he decided to hang out for a while before finally enlisted in the Air Force. Without getting into too much details of the years that followed, in August of 1977, at the age of 24, my brother took his own life. Prior to my brother Eric's exodus from high school, my 2 oldest brothers they walked the same path. They dropped out of Gladstone High School, were both eventually drafted into the U.S. Army, and during the Vietnam conflict, both returned from home to Hazelwood. One saw combat, the other one did not, but both were not in the right frame of mind to jump aboard the success track, but lived pretty close to the tracks. Since Mrs. Young and the high school guidance truant officer, Mrs. Kelly, I believe her name was, the person responsible for tracking down students who regularly do not show up to school, they shared common office spaces. So maybe the interdiction happened, something like this. Wow, we've now lost 3 of the Lepossic boys. Maybe we can do something for the last boy, Mark, yours truly. Maybe this was the time the phrase, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, was created or formulated. So having been given this opportunity to apply, I decided this ABC thing could be a start of something good, provide much needed stability and a path out of Hazelwood. Well, I completely missed the part of the ABC application process where it mentions that ABC students are primarily from inner cities that demonstrate academic potential. I also must have missed the actual pictures of other ABC students in the brochures. So, throughout my orientation in Pittsburgh, summer camp at Dartmouth, it became clear to me that the ABC was geared for students that I normally didn't hang out with or interact with. Actually, they were the ones, not literally, who chased me before and after school in 1968 after Martin Luther King was assassinated. Okay?
We didn't catch you.
No, you didn't catch me. These were the students that hung out at the other end of the playgrounds, had their own game called basketball, their own cliques, but never lived near me, except when we all lived in public housing. But even then, the individual rows of buildings in the public housing complex were segregated. Pittsburgh, like so many other cities, were segregated, meaning each neighborhood was made up of specific ethnic groups, such as the Italians on the south side, the Polish in the Polish Hill, the Jews in Squirrel Hill, the Germans and Russians sprinkled throughout the north side, and the majority of African Americans in the Hill District. The second highest concentration of blacks that I was aware of was in Hazelwood. But the neighborhoods up the hill from us in Greenfield, no minorities. Across the river in Southside, no minorities. I don't need this mic, do I? In the town of Library, where my mother lived, no minorities. None in my uncle's town of South Park. This is the environment that I was exposed to while growing up, while still trying to adjust to my own moving around between family members during my early years. Even though Gladstone was geographically or demographically split, about 60 Caucasian, 40% African Americans, we all went back to our respective neighborhoods after school, and we all played and hung out with our own kind. Now picture me coming in as a student to the original ABC house. I was now the minority inside the ABC program here at Simsbury. We did have another Caucasian, Mr. Nick Pavko, who was one of the original 8. He was from Cleveland, but didn't return in year 2. He was replaced by a minority student from New York. I do not know for sure if other Caucasians have followed my footsteps, but I'm definitely the first Caucasian from ABC Simsbury to enter the senior class of 1975. So while Mr. Marvin Kelly has to share the distinction with Mr. Stephen Whaley of Philadelphia as the first African American who graduated from ABC Simsbury, I'm clearly the first Caucasian to graduate from ABC Simsbury. This is when you're supposed to applaud. So my personal perspective on the ABC experience is somewhat different than most. At school, I blended in with the other 99.8% of the student population. I was not sought after by the other students to fill my hair or to touch my skin, nor was I asked to pick my hair. Most other Simsbury students saw me just as another student. Really no outwardly different appearances that raised much fuss, right, Bill? But what I thought about was, I was the white kid who was chosen to go away to school, and why was that such a good thing? This was my seeking to understand moment and biggest question. So after many years of reflection and analyzing, the answer was the right thing to do. Something or someone had a different path planned for me versus my older brothers and my sister. I'm truly grateful to Mrs. Young, who recently passed away in Pittsburgh. She was one of a kind. Marvel attested to this. Mrs. Young's husband was a medical doctor when there were very few minorities in this profession. They were huge Pittsburgh Steelers fans, as most of us from the borough are, and that's short for Pittsburgh. By the way, us Pittsburghers have our own version of the English language. Yuns means you all. Okay? We're going to whoosh clothes this weekend, boys, instead of wash your clothes, or go to Washington, D.C. We're going to go downtown instead of downtown. And we're going to red the house up before we leave, which means we're going to clean the house up. And we also use gum bands to secure those dreaded envelopes instead of rubber bands. And our favorite jelly meat? Chipped ham. Chipped ham. And so many other phrases and words that my host family, the Buckies, who are here today, John and Arlene, must have thought I was from another world. I can truly say that without Mrs. Young's commitment to me and numerous other students from Pittsburgh over the years, like Marvin Kelly, our lives' path probably would have been totally different. I'm sure of that. So Mrs. Young, while you're watching from above, please note that we want you to know that we deeply appreciate you. Rest assured that your can-do spirit lives within us. This is how I ended up in Simsbury. Does any of this sound familiar to you? Even after 40 years of an existence here in Simsbury, producing so many winners and sending students off with renewed confidence and meaning, I'm sure my story isn't much different than yours. We all have a story to tell. Mine is no important than the next ABC applicant who shows up next fall. So what's the moral of the story? We need to pay tribute to the countless and countless volunteers over the last 4 decades, 40 years, that have maintained this program to what it was originally intended for, to strategically groom, nurture, provide that opportunity that might not have been achievable, giving us all past, present, and future ABC students a chance to succeed. At least to make it to the college or university of our choice, then the rest was going to be on us. Who are these volunteers who open their homes? We've heard it this evening. They share their families with us. They take us in. They feed us. They take us on trips. They share their weekends with us, devoting countless hours of free time on young people they barely know. making us feel special and ensure we are on track to meet the next challenge. These individuals take no compensation in return and definitely are giving away more in time and effort than any of us could ever imagine. All the time, discussions and hard work to get this program started, to find a house, the furniture, sign up host families, secure parents, a cook, you need a van, need some funds, how about emergency funds, etc., etc. From concept to reality and over 40 years of success. Mr. Dick Brigham, your experiment worked. The model you created stands the test of time, sir. Your influence has been long-lasting, and on behalf of all the ABC students, white, black, yellow, Korean, etc., who passed through the halls of Simsbury High School, we applaud you, sir. What a noble idea, helping others on their quest and asks nothing in return. Now, I can't leave this public gathering without recognizing just a few more individuals who may have been instrumental in my ability to make it through this program, but who actually demonstrated that families are really made up of two parents who take on the challenges of everyday life. No fear of displaying love and affection can change their role from tutoring, advisor, to friend and confidant. Able to set exemplary example for others to follow, and still saving time out of their precious time of their day for someone like me. Please give a warm, heartfelt welcome to my extended family, Arlene and John Bucky. Please accept this public acknowledgement. I don't have a gift bag, I'm sorry. But we might grab a few baskets on the way out. For all the time and effort you devoted to me during our weekends, you played a vital role in the beginning of this program also, and assisted Mr. Dick Brigham with a lot of tasks that are still unknown to many of us to this day. Last but not least, and I'm going to get out of here, we wouldn't have a home to come to without our permanent host families, permanent house families, and that's Jim and Maggie Lombard. Unfortunately, Jim was unable to attend, but I did want to publicly thank him for all his time as the first ABC house parent, and to say after all these years to volunteer as the first house parent, he was one brave dude. And also I wanted to thank him big time for passing me in his botany class. So as I close, if I've forgotten anyone, it's not because I'm getting older. You know, life at age 16 or 17, guys, is like you're like a human sponge. Everything's flashing by you. You have the ability to grasp it all, 100%, 120, 30% flies by you in the course of a day. Always grabbing and storing the info. And you're going to go on for more and more. So if I didn't mention you, it's not like I did it on purpose. To the rest of you, a profound thank you for changing my life. And I'm not sure if Simsbury High School still does this or not in the annual yearbook, but under my senior picture, a specific quote ended up under my picture. To this day, I do not know who wrote it nor submitted it, but it reads this: many a page of life I've turned, many lessons I've learned. And oh, how true, at the age of 55, turning 56, oh, how true these words are. For our current students, just remember, guys, it's not the finish, it's the journey that counts. Thank you for having me, having my story. Thank you very much. Same breathing.
Timothy and I. I have a different story to kind of share with everybody. First off, I wanted to say probably my greatest achievement was being married 25 years to my wife, Jackie. I need all the points I can get.
Those bad habits are hard.
Yeah. And I wanted to share with you as well, a big part of the ABC experience is not only the academics you get at the house, but it's the network that you form through your host families. And my host family has been there at the most important parts of my life. I wanted to introduce them, but I also wanted to thank the kids. Billy's here, he's not a kid, we're the same age, but I wanted to publicly thank him for sharing experience with me. So the Rileys, Mrs. Riley and Billy Riley, just thank you. Riley was consistent because he never listened. We actually played basketball together, and he was one of my fiercest competitors. I'm going to take this from a different perspective in reference to giving you some background in reference to not just at ABC, but the importance of it in establishing a foundation for the future. And what ABC really taught me was networking. And what it taught me was that there were people out there, whether they be white, black, red, or yellow, that cared about me regardless of my color. It wasn't fair all the time in reference to the things that we experienced, but to come from a Gladstone High School, me and Mark, we knew each other, but there were race riots going on, so we weren't walking around hand in hand singing, you know, Kumbaya, but we were friendly, but we knew each other, but really did not know each other. I just heard more about him right now than I ever knew in my life. But we came to this program together, and there were two white guys. I didn't know he was Caucasian, I go with white. One guy we called Dirty Nick.
Yes, that's why I never knew that.
Yeah. He was filthy. We had actually 7 students or 8 students. We had the first openly gay person that was in the house with us, Kenny Mullins. And you know, that's when everybody just wasn't coming out either. So this was in the 70s. And, you know, I don't know how they were going to handle that, but Kenny was gay, and we would be out at different things, and he might have a drink or two. Then he started getting friendly with the other guys. And they would say, hey, what's wrong with Kenny? We said, he's just friendly. That's not gay, he's just friendly. You know, that's the kind of guy he is. And we had they didn't call us scholars or students, they called us thugs.
The program has changed.
Yeah, it's changed. I said, scholars, who's that? We had Steve Whaley out of Philadelphia. Me and him fought at Dartmouth College. Then I get on the plane coming here, and he said, hey, you little so-and-so. So I'm saying, I'm going to spend 2 years with this idiot. And then we had Kenny. Those were the 2 black students. We had Mark, we had Nick, and Jesus. Stand up, because you're part of the original group. Sophomore, but we had some characters, and the thing that they thought back then is, we're going to bring these poor kids here, they're going to be so appreciative. It didn't happen. They created most of the rules after we left Simsbury. And they had a lot of board meetings, because something was happening every week at the house. And I know that they had meetings and they said, did we do the right thing? They have no appreciation. You know, we came to the school, and it was kind of a joy. My first host family was the Wardens, and the house wasn't ready, so they dropped us off at the different homes we were at. And I remember specifically that this dog was trying to bite me. 2 little kids there, and they're trying to carry my luggage, John and Emily Gordon. And I'm getting out the car. I won't get out the car because the dog's trying to bite me. They're saying, he doesn't bite. I'm like, oh, brother, but I ain't that dumb. I'm not getting out the car. Finally, I get out the car, and John grabs my luggage, and he starts trying to carry it. I'm saying, oh, this is what I need, a couple of white kids, right? And John says, hey. yeah. He said, hey, you're black, huh? Yeah, I'm black. He said, so is my sister. And I said, this kid's on it. I'm on this kid. So I go in the house, and the Gordons had adopted a little Portuguese girl. And she's up there. And so I said, he's right. I was just shocked. We just got into the house, and we lived with these other families. And what terrified me, I'm from the inner city. They grew up in the projects and moved into a house, but they didn't have anything on the windows out here, you know? So, you know, we're like, somebody gonna rob this place, man. They ain't got anything on the windows. But you're out in the woods and there's nothing around, right? So, yeah, we were real nervous about that. So, you know, we got on the bus first day, and I remember getting on that bus. Yeah. I got on the bus, and it was like a scene out of Deliverance or something. Because, you know, they're talking, oh, yeah, how you doing? And the black guy gets on the bus, ooh! Everybody got to move to the back. I had the whole front. It's live, man. We get to the school and we're seeking each other out because we know that we're all there. We came into the airport together. And every time we saw each other, we were embracing, you know, the ABC guys. You know, boom, because there wasn't any brothers in that school. It was 99.5% white. You know, and I was like, okay, this is different. You know, coming from a majority school and then coming to this school, now I'm the minority. And I'm thinking the first day, I'm saying the first guy to call me the N-word, I'm on him. Bust him up. The first thing I got said is, hi. Hi! What do you mean by that? Yeah. I couldn't get a fight for 2 years. We had a series of firsts. We were the first graduates from the program. And I want to share something with you. The important part of the program is the relationship that you develop with your host family. That's forever. They'll always be there in your corner. They'll always be there for you. And like I said, they were there at the best moments of my life. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the other host families because you make a difference in the lives of others. I'm going to challenge some of the students that you leave here, and this is the start. What you do in college, you take advantage of this opportunity. We came here and my grades dropped to C's and D's. I had never made C's and D's in my life. I was a smart black kid in school because they were teaching at a lower level, of course. So I was a genius. And I got here and we're studying 2 hours a night. And I'm getting C's. And I swore, before I get out this school, I'm making honor roll again. And I did. By my senior year, I made honor roll. I set certain goals for myself. There were things that were important to me. Of course, you guys had these stereotypes. We were good ball players. But we came here and said, man, they must be good ball players. You know? And so, you know, we worked that too, man. We wanted to scare people, you know what I'm saying? We ended up being, me and Mark were the first guys on the football team. I was the first 155-pound middle guard in history of school because they wouldn't put me in the right position. And then they did, and Mark played middle guard. And then basketball.
A whopping 185.
Well, he's a big guy there. Big guy now.
Yeah. Hey, 2 pounds a year after 30, you know.
And Steve Whaley was the first guy that played basketball at the school. And it was very interesting because we went through some things there too. Billy will tell you, I shared that story with him. I mean, we were fierce competitors at the house, and I went out for the team. And, you know, they put the names up on there, and I looked up there, my name wasn't up there one time. And, you know, I was a pretty good baller, right? But I was a street baller. I come down and I'm talking, oh, you got it, boss. I'm gonna get you. Man, that's for your mama. Yeah, that didn't work well in Simsbury.
Coach
Schwartz.
He didn't like that.
He didn't like, Coach Schwartz didn't like me very much because I was throwing behind the back passes and it's hitting Tommy Young in the face. He's 6'11". He's not catching the ball, it's bouncing off his head. I'm saying, like, man, what's up with this, you know? So, you know, I'm a player, but I got cut. I was like, I didn't understand it, but that was my first lesson, that things aren't always going to be fair. And that's a lesson I learned from my host family as well, because when I got to the Rileys, I was with the Gordons for a while. After a few months with those kids, I said, I got to get out of here. And they put me over at the Riley's house, and Tommy was 6'5", and Billy's like 6'2", and they're ballers, and I'm a baller, and I go over there. I love going over there because we're going out to play ball, we're going out there to interact. But Mr. Rowley got me, and he said, hey, I need to talk to you with me. I said, hey, you know, white guy gonna tell me, I'm the man. You know, he sat me down, he said, hey, you're gonna have a harder time in life because you're black. He said, but that's not gonna be an excuse for not achieving. He said, if you mess up over here, I'm gonna be on you just like I'm on them. You understand me? I looked at him, yes, sir. The tone was set. I was just like the other kids, and that's how it operated when I went to the rallies. And I was just as terrified of your dad as you were. And that's kind of how we got started with this, you know? It was a community that came together, and you can call out everybody, but could we have all of our original board members, if you're still here, please just stand. The originals? Board members, host families, please stand. We appreciate those people because they made a difference in our lives. And this was just the start, you know, and I'll tell the students, it's not what you do here, it's what you do after you leave here. I've had a 32-year career in insurance. I was in the service, I was the first. I left here as the first class in 1975. I went to the University of Hartford, majored in insurance, became the first major in insurance, graduating from the University of Hartford. Stayed here 5 years, worked for Transamerica Insurance. Insurance has been very good to me. That's where I met my wife. First black underwriter hired by Transamerica Insurance in 1980. And the reason I'm involved in insurance, Mr. Gordon was in insurance and used to take me to Cigna to play duck ball, duck bowling, all that stuff. He opened up the place and I said, man, insurance is like wonderful. I thought it was like an exciting career. So I got my degree in insurance, and I was there in 1979, the first set of insurance graduates, hired by Transamerica Insurance. I think they were experimenting, but I was hired as the first black underwriter there. I went to Chubb & Son in Pittsburgh in '86, first black commercial lines underwriter for Chubb & Son in Pittsburgh. My dad passed away in 1957, or he passed away at the age of 57. I moved back with my mother. I'm 28 years old. Me and my wife had been dating 7 years. And I went home to be with my mom and get that straightened out. And I had outgrown Pittsburgh. They still wanted to put me in the box of Pittsburgh. And I said, I'm not about that. And an opportunity came up, and I went to Beaumont, Texas, as the first black municipal risk manager for the city of Beaumont in 1986 to 1989. And then I became the first black municipal risk manager for the city of Austin. On the way, I created my first managed care program for the city of Beaumont. And I created the first owner-controlled insurance surety bond program in the country for the city of Austin, where we built our convention center with 30% minority participation. While I was in school, I tutored the other students, and also played football there, and some students used to come out to watch me play. Those are lessons learned. So it's not what you learn here, it's what you do with it afterwards. What they taught me here is I had to get back. That's why I tutored those other students. They said, Marvin, you're smart. I said, no, man, I've been trained. I know the game already. I'm studying 2 hours a night. On the weekends, man, I'm in the library. I didn't miss one party, but I was in the library. I was going to class, I was doing my work because I had been trained to do that here. So that foundation was set. And then I got out of my own head the fact that people were against me. Because the Rowleys, the Gordons, the Buckys, the Brighams, Paolinos, they were all there for us. That made a difference. That set the foundation. And I went on from there, municipal risk management, the first. Then I got my job as the executive director of the Texas Property Casualty Insurance Guarantee Association. I've been there 20 years. It was a state agency that I privatized back in 1992. I had an opportunity to participate in some other programs. Citizen Ambassador Program. 2012, I took a group to Brazil. 2010, I was in China, Beijing and Shanghai. I took 26 people there. My first delegation was 1993 to Russia and Ukraine. Stupidest thing I ever did in my life. When Gorbachev and Yeltsin switched power, and we're there 2 weeks later. It was dumb. It was dangerous. My wife said, don't go. And our baby was 2 weeks old. And I said, hey, baby, I ain't no problem, because, you know, it's gotten better down there. We're watching CNN, and a tank rolls down the street and fires into the White House. And I said, I could be wrong. 95, I was in South Africa at the end of apartheid. helping with the transition, selected as part of the first risk management crew we built there. 1999. The late great Leon Sullivan, who helped end apartheid in South Africa. I was on my first African-American summit, right, to Ghana, with 12 presidents from African countries and 6 vice presidents from different countries. And I'm sitting there meeting the top civil rights leaders, right, Dorothy Height, Alexis Herman, who was on the administration for Clinton, who was leading the delegation down there, Jack Kemp, who was a great man. They were all there, and I was up talking to these individuals. So it just doesn't stop here, it continues, but it's what you make it, what you do with it. So I appreciate ABC for giving me that start. I wouldn't have traveled all over the world. 2009, I became the first. I get this first stuff. I want to be second. I'm so pissed about this. In 2009, I became the first president of the Chartered Property Casualty Underwriting Society. 25,000 members, chapters in 5 different countries. And who came down to, when I became president, who came down? My host family. They were there. And the greatest thing about that was I introduced my mother. And I said, my mother's here with her boyfriend of 25 years, and I'm keeping my eye on this guy. I don't know what his intentions are. And then I said, let me introduce my other family. And I said, Mr. and Mrs. Rowley. And everybody said, what? I said, yep, that integration works. And that was the first in the 65-year history for the CPCU Society. So it wasn't a matter of being a minority, it was being the best at what you do. And that's what I focused on in my entire career. How do I become the best? How do I do the best? How do I help other people? I've created 2 insurance programs, one at Houston-Tillotson University in Austin, Texas, one at Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas, where we're trying to introduce minorities to insurance careers, because after 32 years, there's still very few people at the top levels in insurance. So we try to change that by encouraging others to participate in the process and to focus on getting the designations, the CPCU, the Associate Underwriting Designation. I finished my MBA online to impress my kids. They weren't impressed. Risk management and insurance. So the foundation is set here, and we're back here today to say thank you. To say thank you to everybody who participated in the program, the host families, because it made a difference in our lives. Would I have been successful without ABC? Without them? I think I might have been, but I wouldn't have been as successful. I wouldn't have learned how to study. I wouldn't have learned how to appreciate other people that had different skin colors than me, that really had my best interest in mind. I had limitations when I got here, like a lot of people in Simsbury had, because they used to ask us questions like, how do you get your hair up like that? And I said, I stick my finger in the socket. You know, I had fun with this stuff. They'd ask you all kind of dumb questions. What are you doing this summer? I said, I go home and I rob people. I snatch pocketbooks. And they're like, really? Where are they at? I didn't know what Puerto Ricans were. Okay? Jesus came, and we're in the house, and I just thought there was some brothers. Manny, Big Manny, and I said, hey man, what's up, brothers? He said, yo man, we ain't know. I said, what are those guys? They said, they Puerto Ricans. I said, where are they from? He said, Puerto Rico. I said, we don't have any in Pittsburgh. They didn't go that far. We just didn't have any. You know what I was doing? But I knew enough Spanish to know when they would call me a black dog. Pero negro, sí, mi amigo. I said, oh no, I know Spanish, man. I learned that. So I knew when they were insulting me. And I learned bad because I went home with one of the students for the summer. His mother spoke no English, and I spoke broken Spanish. And what I found out is the Spanish you learn in class, esto se usa en casa, sí, esto como that don't work in the city. They'd be like, what up, dog? You know, in Spanish. So I learned how to curse very well in Spanish. And then I went back and I was talking to somebody, and they said, you can't say that. I said, what's that mean? And they tell me what it meant. Oh, man. That's how they talk down in the city. So, I mean, I learned about the Spanish culture. And now I run the most diverse guarantee fund in the country, but more importantly, it's the best guarantee fund in the country. We handle claims for insolvent insurance companies in the state of Texas. It had 400 people to it. I run it with 45 people. I go around, and the reason I was in Ghana was to look at the state-run insurance company operation to look at privatizing it. I was invited down as a consultant to the government. Interesting, man. I never thought I'd get there. But you can get anywhere you want if you put in the work, if you're disciplined, and you study. So we come back here today, and again, the relationships, and I'll share one more story before I finish. My wife's giving me the eye. My son went to the Naval Academy for a couple of years. He was recruited down there. And Mark is a squid. I mean, I was so ashamed because I'm an Army officer. So he said, I'm going to the Naval Academy. I said, let me down, man. Go to the Army, that's the real stuff. And he got into a situation down there. Well, I called Mark. I said, hey, my son's down there. Could he stay with you? And I think Claire picked him up and he came over the house and ate. And then 3 in the morning, he got a call one day, and it was a real touchy situation. And he said some girls had come in his room and they speak Russian. I'm sitting there and my wife's going crazy. I'm saying, oh, that sounds like, he said, they tried to jump in bed with me, Dad. He didn't know what to do. I said, son, get up, lock the door, keep the ladies out. I said, if they're Russian, that means they're probably prostitutes, you know, and they're coming in there. Whose house are you at? He's given this situation. I said, well, get up, get a cab, get back to the base, and give me a call when you get there. Well, he did everything that I said, but he didn't call back. So 4 in the morning, guess who's still up? How do you think he's doing? I need to get up tomorrow, you know? I mean, he had done everything he needed to do, but then, you know, I didn't make this decision. She said, call so-and-so. So I had to call Claire, right? We called down, and she would not stop until I called Claire, can you please just check on my son? Because I can't get no sleep, man. That woman's not going to let me like that. And they did. But that's the kind of relationship you form over a long period of time. You know, I look at Mark, it's not, you know, this, he's this, that, or the other. And he messed up too. I'm going to tell you this one thing. We used to have these parties, right? And we go to the different schools. And there were mainly other schools with black girls, you know, and we go every party. And Mark would go with Will to the movies, right?
No, with Jim.
With Jim?
Yeah.
Go to
Jim
the
and I
movies.
would be dating.
Yeah, he never went to the parties. It was all black girls. Did you see his wife? He got back at her. I told him, I said, man, you ruined me, because that was my last prejudice. I didn't like interracial couples. And all of a sudden, I show up at an ABC function. My wife didn't make it, and I'm walking around, and you liberal people are saying, oh, Mrs. Kelly. And I said, no, that's Miss LaPopsic. Gotcha. It was really live, you know. That's the kind of thing that you learn at ABC. But I did want to say, we appreciate you being here today. I want to challenge all the students, even the ones that graduated. We need to participate in funding this program. Every year I get that call, and every year I send my check in. It should happen automatically with anybody that's ever graduated from the program. We shouldn't ask for a program, or they shouldn't ask to support a program that helps us. Shouldn't. So I challenge you on that. I tell the younger guys, the sky is your limit. If you fall short, you're still going to be successful. This gives you the foundation that you need, but it's really on you. It's really on you, no one else. They can give you all the tools that you need here, but what you do in life is based on what you want and how disciplined you'll be. We studied when we came. We learned how to study. We got our grades up to where they needed to be. I'll tell you one thing about Jesus. Jesus was a very smart kid when he got here. He was a sophomore, so we didn't have much use for him, but he was a good kid. He was very smart, and he studied hard, and he was smart. And that's what we had in that house. Not everybody was smart, but everybody worked hard. One of the things Simsbury taught me that I took on, I wasn't as smart as I thought, but I had to learn to work harder than other people. I had people that I met that were smarter than me, but they didn't outwork me. And that was my philosophy when I played football, when I played basketball. You might be better, but you will not outwork me. And that's been my entire career. I don't think anybody's better than me. That's just my attitude. I was arrogant, still I am. People can validate that. But it's on you. ABC can start you out, but it's how you finish. So with that, I want to thank the host families. I want to thank the counselors. I wish Jim and Maggie were here. And Jason was a terror. I'm gonna tell you, Jason was a little kid in our house, like you said, you had your kids.
2-year-old.
Jason would come in and have an ashtray and bang you in the head with it and run back to his parents. And we wanted to kill him. And you know, they were into that timeout stuff. And we were like, we want to kill this kid. So we tried to bait Jason. I hope he's nice today. I don't know what happened to Jason.
Jason's 42 years old now.
Oh. We had some experiences in that ABC house, and it was a great experience. It was a great growth opportunity for us. And coming back today was just icing on the cake, especially seeing Mark, seeing my family. I mean, that's what it's all about, and you guys are making a difference in the lives of these students. So thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Marvin.
No, thank you.
Now, Jesus graduated from our program in 1977 and has worked over 30 years in healthcare network systems administration. He's currently the Senior Network Systems Administrator at the George Washington University Hospital in Washington, D.C. Jesus?
Everything they said, and then I'll say a few more things. First of all, let me just say, yes, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm from the South Bronx, right by Yankee Stadium. And I just want to say a couple of things about this program that are very important. And I'm going to speak directly to you. Because ABC saves lives. And you have to look at it that way. I know we think this is all academic. But when you think about it, what we're doing is we're changing people's lives and we're saving their lives. I'll be real quick with my life story. My mother had me at 16 years old. Her mother put her out of her house. And my father, who was maybe 17, would come from Puerto Rico to the United States. My father's here a week. He was poisoned. He went to drink some coffee one day and he was poisoned, so he dies. So here's my mother, 16 years old. She has the kid. She doesn't want to go back because there's no place else to go. So of course, what's our only remedy? We get on welfare. So the government takes care of us. My mother raises up us in the projects, and you know, a lot of Latin people, we're very close, a lot of Latin community. They see a young lady 16 years old with a child, everybody tries to help. In the 7th grade, I knew I didn't have a father, no male figures at all in my community where I grew up. I'm in the projects. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? I'm a man, I got to do something. So I start studying the best I can because, of course, I grew up Spanish and I'm in a Spanish community, trying to do as well as I can in the United States, learn English as fast as possible, do as best as you can. So when I'm in the 7th grade, I meet someone who takes an interest in me, and the reason I'm telling you that story is because she's here tonight, so technically she really saved my life. And that's Miss Hyacinth Hutchison, that lady right over there. Let me just say this, picture what's happening in the United States as it relates to ABC. You have people like Ms. Hutchison who are in these areas preparing these students for a better life. She has put so many students and assisted them through ABC programs, make sure that they got to good high schools, that they didn't drop out, and follow them throughout their entire life. In the Latin community in the South Bronx, to us, as we used to refer to her, and she doesn't really know it, we don't talk that much to her about that, but she was an angel to us. She was a saint to us. And people in Spanish, they always say that woman there is a saint. And I just want you to understand that there are a lot of people like this, like yourselves, who have been helping all of us to do God's work.
Eddie Ramos, from the class of 1985, lives in Short Hills, New Jersey, and works at Cornerstone Capital Management in New York City. He's a portfolio manager. Ed?
Thank you very much. I'll try to be as short as possible. I know this program's gone on long. A couple of things I wanted to mention. First of all, I wondered if they were teaching comedy when you guys were in school. I could have listened to you for another hour, seriously. No, thank you. Thank you for your words, fantastic words. I think really one of the things that's happened to me over the course of my life, as I reflect back on my experience here at Simsbury, is, clearly when you come here as a student, you realize that you're very fortunate for this opportunity, that you don't want to screw it up. And in the case of many of us, we feel like we're representing our neighborhoods, we feel like we're representing our families. I can tell you there's an extraordinary amount of stress and pressure on our shoulders to succeed. We do not want to go back home as failures. Okay? So you take that and you really wind up landing in this environment, which for me, relative to where I grew up, I was from Jersey City, New Jersey, or as Greg with his inimitable Memphis accent would say, he'd say, Eddie's from Jersey. It was the type of situation whereby Jersey City in the early 1980s actually made the national news. Some of you may recall Lean on Me, a movie that was made with Morgan Freeman. It was a movie about Principal Joe Clark in Paterson, New Jersey. Well, I was in a very similar public school system in Jersey City. Jersey City actually made national news that year when I was thinking about applying to ABC, because it had been the first public school system that was so bad that the state had to come in and take it over. Okay, so that was the environment in which I was growing. I had an extraordinary set of very supportive parents who to this day are now married 53 years. So a wonderful set of mentors. So what ends up happening is that, you wind up coming here and certainly making the best of every opportunity, learning a lot about, how kind people can really be to you. And my host family, unfortunately, couldn't be here, the Silversteins, but I can tell you they've been supported throughout my entire life. And in fact, when I started my first mutual fund in 1998, they were my very first investors. And literally, almost sight unseen, they wanted to send the money, and I said, well, I have to send you a prospectus. And they're like, well, you're Eddie, we know you. I'm like, no, literally, this is the law. I have to send you a prospectus before you send me money. But that was the kind of trust that they had in me. They always are in touch with me. And I think the wonderful thing about having a wonderful set of supportive parents for me growing up is that they always made me realize who were the people who were really helping me out the most.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.